You boys know what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole. I got my co-host, my wing woman, of positive fandom, and this is the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, where we unapologetically uh, admire and talk about some of those quote unquote toxic males out there just doing the darn thing and being unapologetically masculine. I think that's about right?
It is absolutely perfect, Lorena. Of course, on this show, we show the admiration we have for all those wonderful males out there who are doing those roles, Lorena. And of course, the service members out there who we thank for their service and all those
Yes.
people who are putting their lives on the line, but mostly certainly showing us how important those traits are of heroism, protection, fatherhood, companionship, all of those things that we love about toxic males. We celebrate them right here on Toxic Male Appreciation.
Absolutely. 100%. So let's see, who are we going to be admiring this week? It's funny, this person who you brought to my attention, because I actually know about him through his father of all things, which is really strange. So tell you what, first we'll start first with, we are going to be talking about, of course, David Boreanaz. Yes, this guy. Oh my gosh. Where do I start? Where do I start? Yeah, I'll start at the beginning. So there was this little show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which happened. I hadn't really gotten into it because when I moved to LA, it was so funny. When I moved to LA, the first thing I did was stop watching a lot of TV because I kept seeing people from the TV shows. Like I would see Sarah Michelle Gellar at the Fashion Square Mall in Sherman Oaks. Like I would see her like all the time. They were shooting a show. So I happened to watch an interview that David Boreanaz did with, I want to say, with the local LA affiliate. And he says, yeah, my father is Dave Roberts. I'm like,
Wow.
This can't be Dave Roberts, the weatherman from Philadelphia. But yes, sure enough, his dad was Dave Roberts. And you know what? I did not. Hold a second, I have to fix my sharing. I thought I was sharing my window, my whole. I thought I was sharing my whole entire screen, but apparently I had not, so it didn't switch on me. So anyway, David Boreanaz. So yes, his father is WPVI Philadelphia's weatherman. Well, former weatherman, because he did retire.
Yes.
But how can I explain it? Action News in Philly was like the news that you watched from like a young kid to like an older adult. It's like the newscast that you grew up with, especially as a kid living in the Philly metro area. Now, the previous weatherman, unfortunately, had a skydiving accident.
What?
And back then, the weatherman, they would they would always like talk to the students and stuff like that. So when Dave Roberts took it over, we were like, okay, nothing can happen to Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts must be protected. So when I find out at this interview with this LA TV affiliate that David Boreanaz does, he says his dad was Dave Roberts. I'm like, but you don't have the same last name.
Yeah. So what's up with that?
Yeah, so apparently, and it's kind of like what some actors do in Hollywood. We'll say before the whole Emilio Estevez thing came along. Um, his father's Italian, of Italian descent. So what he did was, in order to get more work and not have his last name be so ethnic, his stage last name became Roberts. Happens all the time. Well, not as much now, but it did then. So what David did was, when he came to Hollywood, he used the family name again. So he used the last name of Boreanaz again, kind of like Emilio Estevez. For people who don't know, Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen's last name is not truly Sheen; it's Estevez.
Right.
Just to let you know that. So the same thing. So I was just absolutely floored because, first of all, he's smoking hot. He's absolutely smoking hot. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but when he showed up as Angelus, I was like hooked into the show for real.
Yeah, and I have to say, a lot of people were wondering what Buffy the Vampire Slayer was going to be like, and it seemed pretty clear that Sarah Michelle Gellar had a lot of talent as an actress. There's no doubt about it. She was able to kind of revive and create interest in this character that many of us only knew as that one movie.
Right.
Christy Swanson, I think, was her.
Yes, it was.
And
Got me gum.
Yeah. And it was quite, a novelty at the time with things like Teen Wolf and these sort of novelty movies in the 80s, I guess. So when Josh Whedon, right, Lorena, created Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it was a gamble. And of course, it was also not on the major networks. It was on, kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Was it WB or something like that? Am I correct on that, Lorena?
Was it WB?
Or some other network? It was not the main network channels we know. And so it was like this gamble, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, Lorena. The interest around it was just essentially how great the writing was for for that show. And so Sarah Michelle Gellar was kind of given this role, and she was coming off of some really interesting roles that she played, kind of a Mean Girls kind of movies that she'd been doing for a little bit. And when the show came out, I believe it was on a network that was not necessarily like Channel 2 or 4 or 7. But at that time, when a lot of people were saying there couldn't be any other networks, all of a sudden, this other group of stations were able to kind of develop competitive shows that got ratings. So I believe that's what happened in this case. And, Lorena, the last thing I was expecting, we had a bunch of shows like Charmed, these sort of teenage dream girls.
Oh, now that I think about it, just hit me. Started on the WB and ended up at UPN.
That's right, Lorena. And so for a long time, people were like, well, those networks don't really matter. Then all of a sudden they popped up and started to slam the ratings with these hit shows like this one or Dawson's Creek. You remember? I remember
Dawson's Creek.
UPN, one of those stations. And so there was a bunch of shows like this, these kind of, teen spirit shows, if you will. But Buffy was kind of set apart. And of course, as you mentioned, one of the members, the man that she couldn't fall in love with because he was a vampire. Am I correct, Lorena?
Yes, that is correct.
Played by David Boreanaz. And all of a sudden it's like, it was really funny because I'm thinking to myself, well, who's this guy who's going to play, what's the story with this? Who's this knockout guy? Because he's so striking in the story, so incredibly handsome and attractive. He looks like a linebacker. I mean, I'm not even quite sure how big David Boreanaz is in real life, but he looked like a linebacker. He looked like he could be a vampire. It was very funny how he had this presence about him to play this role. And of course, this is the character that, essentially Buffy is, she cannot kill him. This is, as a vampire slayer, this is, presumably her love interest.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely fell in love with him in this role, Lorena. And I think that this was also not easy to pull off because it was something new. We didn't have a whole bunch of roles where people were playing vampires around in a world where there were vampire slayers. Like it just wasn't really something you saw on TV. So it was very kind of nouveau at the time. And now it's pretty common, right? But today, now we have movies where it's like the girl is like, I love him even though he's a beast, or whatever it is. Like that's pretty common nowadays. But I think back then it was not you weren't tripping over shows like that. So, for him to come into that show and play that role, he had to be just as strong as Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I think that they hit the jackpot with the casting for the rest of the crew, but he certainly was a standout in the show for me, Lorena. What did you think of David Boreanaz in this role? I know you said that you remember him as Angelus in it. What did you think when you first saw him in this TV series?
I was just like, God, I hope Buffy doesn't have to kill him. Because he was, he was so striking, and he played I want to say, contrast this with say Bram Stoker's Dracula. Bram Stoker was more of I don't want to say predator, but more of like a seducer. And he was very secure in who he was in doing that. With the Angelus character, David portrayed it as kind of like that guy you really want to date, but you really shouldn't be around. And he basically tried to tell her, you can't be around me. You shouldn't want to be around me. And she's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand why. I just want to be with them. I know I'm not supposed to be with them. I shouldn't be with them. So it was kind of like that whole bad boy. I shouldn't fall in love with the bad boy, but I am. But in this case, he's a vampire. So there's always that kind of like seductive quality to it that he kind of played off, but not as your typical teenage guy, which I think he played into that extremely well. It was just fun to watch because you could see him, and it was almost like he's a boy next door. And a lot of times you tend to forget that he's a vampire until he flips on people. Then it's like, oh, okay, all right, not nice. He's a vampire. And I knew that I truly, truly cared about this character because, and spoiler alert, if you have not watched Buffy, too bad. You need to go back and watch it. The episode where she has to kill him.
Yeah.
He played oh my gosh. They were both good, but he played that role so well that I felt personally insulted and offended when Buffy had to kill him.
Yeah, it was, she pretty much was between a rock and a hard place. And this was something that she didn't want to do, is to be perfectly clear.
Mm-hmm.
And that had to show. And none of us wanted it. I'm almost expecting that even Josh Whedon didn't want her to do this because we had been enjoying this character so much. And I think that does say a lot about the writing. It does say a lot about the building of the character and the relationships that the character has with the main character and how important he was to Buffy. Of course, she couldn't go on if he was there at that time. So a decision had to be made. But boy, talking about not wanting a character to go away, Lorena, I was like, what are they doing?
I'm just like, you're ripping my heart out right now. What are you? What are you doing? I mean, yeah, we wound up getting Spike, and Spike was cool. But he wasn't Angelus.
No, Spike was all right. He was more like a punk, right? He
more like a Billy Idol kind of,
And certainly, he's British, right? He's a British actor.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Certainly a very exciting, and of course, Buffy's advisor was also a British man, so that was kind of cool. But Spike felt more like her little, maybe brother or something like that. There wasn't that attraction, as far as I'm concerned, between the two of them that Boreanaz had. with Geller. And, I think that that's one of the things that makes David Boreanaz a leading man, in my opinion, is the chemistry that he has with his on-screen ladies. It can't be denied. He comes across as being such a great toxic male because of this chemistry, where he's just so incredibly genuine. He hasn't taken any roles where, let's say, major roles, is known for major roles where he's kind of the bad guy or is going to lead you down a bad path. And I think that that's what made it so hard to know that he was going to be leaving that show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think he had a spinoff, but girl, I was so insulted I couldn't even watch the spinoff. I don't know. It didn't really grab me. It's like the angel that you saw there wasn't the angel that was in Buffy, as far as I was concerned. So I was just like, okay, I'll catch you the next thing that you're in. But aside from his first appearance as Kelly's boyfriend and Married with Children, it was definitely Angel. So let's get a little bit more about David Boreanaz. So he is 6'1".
Yeah.
He's in the zone. Okay, he's in the zone.
Yeah.
He's in the zone. He was born in Buffalo, grew up in Philly. Of course, I told y'all that. Grew up in Philly. Right. Yeah, I was just like, and I didn't run across this dude when I was living in Philly. Okay. But yeah, his mom was a travel agent. His dad, the weatherman in Philly, not a weatherman in Philly. The weatherman in Philly was Dave Roberts. End of story.
Oh man.
End of story. So yeah, he went to Ithaca College, and after he graduated from college, he moved to LA to pursue a career in movies. He always wanted to be an actor. So he's been in so many things. Let's see. He was discovered while walking his dog. It does not surprise me. Los Angeles, they're always on the lookout, like looking for talent. So I am not surprised. Sued by ex-landlord for allegedly trashing a house, denies the charge. That was 98. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Let's see. Let's go to his resume, actually. He's divorced.
Okay.
Well, no, he's married now. He first spouse was Ingrid Quinn. I didn't know who she was. It's probably why not. I know who Jamie Bergman was, actually.
And it looks like they have 2 kids together.
Yep, they do. So they have 2 kids together. I remember Jamie Bergman. So I remember her. So let's check out his resume. There's so many things that he's been in. So this is always fun. We love going back and seeing all the stuff that he did back in the day.
And it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Best of the Best, he was a parking valet. Married with Children, I remember him being in. Let me see. I wonder if they have.
Oh, a photo of him from then?
Yeah, I was thinking so, but it doesn't look like they do. But he was in, let's see, the episode. Well, he was Frank, but they don't say exactly which episode was it. Oh, the movie show.
Married with Children wasn't. I think that was on Channel 5 where I was.
I remember this. First of all, if there was ever a toxic male TV show, and we got to do a show on this.
Yes.
One of the top ones is Married with Children.
Absolutely. It is definitely one of the top ones. And if I remember, I think it might have been on Channel 5 where I live. I don't know. Fox, was it on Fox?
Yeah, it was on Fox.
And, this was another show that at the time, suddenly Fox was a contender. Suddenly WB was a contender. Suddenly UPN was a contender in ratings against the networks. And the networks were kind of, concerned about these hits that were coming out, and Married with Children was no exception to that.
Oh my gosh, Married with Children was so big that by the time I think like 10 years after or 20, it got to the point where they were the only show remaining on Fox that had been there from the beginning. It had been around like that long.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure whether The Simpsons was on that show, was on that station. Maybe The Simpsons.
Yes, it was The Simpsons. So yeah, so it was The Simpsons and Married with Children.
And it was a big deal. They got consistent study ratings through the years, and people showed up for it. And I think that practically everybody who was on Married with Children, went on to have successful, if not television, movie careers as well,
Yes.
in some way or another, either as actors, directors, producers, whatever. It certainly did shape a lot of careers. And old-fashioned sitcom show with slapstick comedy, with just honest to goodness, how would you say, they just wanted you to have a laugh. It was just a little goofy, having the mother be the way that she was. She loved Al. That was something else that I really liked. And of course he loved her, but it was just funny, their relationship, how they related to one another, because he had so much respect for her, but it was still fun. He kind of was a normal man, and there wasn't anything odd about that. And I can't remember the girl's name who starred in it. She also did a lot of films in the 80s and 90s, if I remember. But in fact, she's on some streaming networks now. I think she had a show that came out.
Oh my gosh, why am I blanking out?
Isn't it-
Christina Applegate.
Thank you. And when she used to come on the screen, I guess it was in front of a live audience, and they would be like, "Yeah, she's hot," or whatever. And I was like, "This is fun." Like, this is so much fun. This family is a lot of fun, and this is exactly the kind of fun stuff you want to watch, something entertaining. There was one episode, Lorena, where the father was going to build something, and he's not mechanically inclined to use tools.
Yes.
And there's this scene where he's got like a nail driven through his hand with a board, and they're just like watching what's happened. The mother's watching, and I'm like, only on the show. Only on the show is the father like, oh.
And wasn't that the one where all the wives were taking bets on what was going to happen next because Jefferson was helping him out?
Yes, yes, it was. Yes, it was. And it was like, oh no, a nail gun. I think we know what's going to happen here. But they treated it truthfully, like he shouldn't be handling these power tools. This man goes to work every day, comes home and wants to sit on the couch and drink his beer. And his wife is waiting for him. It was just so much fun to see what a great show this was. And to get on that show, that would be, you get big coverage and exposure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this aired in season 7. So I want to say around that time, the show had actually been on for a while. And like you were saying, it was one of those star launching vehicles. People remember if you were on The Simpsons or if you were on Married with Children. Like specifically, people will go back in episodes with Married with Children to find out if a certain actor was in it. I mean, that's just common. And the fact that even he was on this little like bit part, I want to say, still, it got him, a lot of it was basically helped launch his career, honestly, with that type of appearance on that particular type of show, because it was a smoking hot show.
It had a lot of sex appeal. There were sexy jokes. There was a lot of implication about sex on the show, and it was fun to kind of have those jokes, because it's kind of like a show where we're all thinking it and we're going to say it what we're thinking, and we're fine with it because that's just how we roll. And I kind of miss shows like that just had that audacity to go there. When we're all thinking this, but no one wants to say it. Well, we're going to say it here. So it was it did have an element of the toxic male in regards to some of the male female gaze and things like that. So I kind of like that about that show because it was truthful. I think that it was important for people to see that, yeah, you got a hot neighbor who moves in next door. You might notice your neighbor. You might notice them. So
Absolutely. And one of my favorite, oh my God, one of my favorite, absolute favorite running bits in that show
yes.
was No Ma'am.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh my gosh, a bunch of guys who just feel like they have no place in their own house. So guess what? They start their own support group. No ma'am. What is it? Uh they know, let's see, Men Against Amazonian Masterhood or something like that. It was just freaking hysterical.
It was
Oh,
essentially the grown-up version of the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
yes, it was. Yes, it was. And wait till you see the episode called The Church of No Ma'am. That's I'm just gonna leave that right there. Case in point, it's funny, and this is, it's like good percentage of women love seeing stuff like that because we don't take it seriously. And with Married with Children, that was a very controversial show. And they tried to say that women were all offended and everything. And I remember seeing an interview with the writers and actually producers, Ron Leavitt and Michael Moye. And they said people were trying to say they got hate mail about No Ma'am. He said, do you know some of the most positive fan mail we get about No Ma'am is from women who watch the show? Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to do a No Ma'am show
Yeah,
for
we
y'all.
will.
Just there's stuff that you can't do now that they did then, which oh my gosh, it was just so freaking funny. So yes, he was Frank in the movie show episode of Married with Children. I believe Kelly got dumped by her boyfriend, played by David Boreanaz. So they all basically sneak into the movie theater. Everybody's got their own kind of like agenda. Um, Al doesn't really want to pay for anything. Peggy wants to get romantic with Al. I think Bud's trying to bring a date, find a date or something. But it was hilarious. It was absolutely, it was, oh God, it was so freaking funny. I think that was the one where they snuck into the movie theater too.
Yeah. And I just loved how the mother always wanted to get intimate with her husband. I just loved that. Like she was always down for this. And I have a feeling, I mean, it was just very funny. He always kind of, shrugged it off and kind of made it seem like he didn't want to. But I think we all knew what happened in the end every time. I believe she got her way.
Yeah. Yeah. She did.
Yeah.
Well, here's something for gamer fans. Apparently, David did the voice of Squall Leonhardt.
Oh, wow.
That's actually pretty cool. I have to say that if you are a gamer
Yeah.
and you are into anime and Disney, this was the game that you played, which was Kingdom Hearts. This game, do you remember this game? It was extremely popular. The music was insane. I mean, just this fusion of like Disney and anime together. Beautiful score, beautiful costuming. I saw so much cosplay from this darn game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a classic, actually one that I need to get for my PS4, because back in the day I didn't have the time to play it, but I bought it for my nephew because he begged to have this darn game. I think it was this one and Soul Calibur. He tricked me into buying
Yeah.
Soul
Oh, I
Calibur.
remember Soul Calibur. These two were really popular, Lorena, as you said.
Mhm.
Pretty much every gamer was playing these games, and Kingdom Hearts was a big deal. You couldn't even see in the ranking of 9.2. Very few games get a ranking of that score. They try to achieve what Kingdom Hearts has achieved, almost 20 years ago, and it's hard to re-achieve that. Just
Mhm.
because of the game design was so amazing for 20 years ago. It was just amazing looking.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. I want to say it's almost not completely, but Disney Dreamlight Valley that's out now has several callbacks to Kingdom Hearts with the quests and everything that they have going on. So that's so cool. He had a voice part in this game because man, it's beyond popular. And how many actors do we know nowadays who have like a second life, or we'll say side hustle, doing voices for video games.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's probably about a third of the community are doing that, with a few that are solely voiceover actors, a few, but apparently at least a third of them do different parts. Sometimes people will request a certain actor to do it, and they may not want to do these voiceover roles, but because we can recognize their voices so easily, a lot of
Mhm.
times, you listen and you're like, hey, I recognize that voice. That sounds like so and so. You'll look it up, and sure enough, it is.
Mhm.
And we certainly do see it in video games and in anime too, as well, Lorraine, as you said. It's like when we watched, I think it was Afro Samurai and Samuel Jackson's character.
Mhm.
Immediately, I recognized that character. I could tell this was Samuel L. Jackson, and he was perfect for
Oh my god.
voiceovers in anime. So that was something that I thought was very interesting, because I hadn't known that he had even done that. So it's great to see that he had, even back in 2002, boy, those video games were a big deal, much more than today. There was a lot of competition, a lot of good games, but Kingdom
Mhm.
Hearts was a game that stood out amongst all of them, and Soul Calibur.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I didn't even know that about him. So that is the coolest thing. Squall Leonhardt, voiced by David Boreanaz. So now you know. Now you know. I didn't know Buffy the Vampire Slayer had a video game, but I
I
keep
didn't either.
forgetting. So many of them had video games. Let me pop this
What
sucker open.
console was it?
Oh man, that is an excellent question. Xbox?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Xbox. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I was like, I've never freaking heard of this
Never. Do
game.
they have screenshots of it or something?
Ooh,
The,
let's
oh
see.
yeah. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
there's screenshots.
Wow, from 2002.
Yeah, we're talking 20 years ago. And of course, this is before we had that major update. I don't know, maybe in 2013, 2012, 2013, where we started to get those impressive graphics that looked like you were
Hmm.
looking at real humans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never knew there was a video game. Oh goodness.
Wow. Yeah, there it is.
Hmm.
From EA, Electronic Arts, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, classics. This is an Xbox Classics.
Hmm. Wow.
And it has the Fox logo at the bottom. That's interesting. Only on Xbox. So it was an Xbox exclusive.
Yep.
That was a big deal for them too, to get that, the rights to that. So we could see some of the gameplay right there from that front jacket there with
Yeah, check it out.
doing a sidekick to one of these demons or whatever she's fighting at that moment. It looks like him, but I'm not quite sure that looks like her, but that's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like her. You can pretty much say, yeah, that's David Boreanaz for the most part. Haven't quite gotten Buffy down, but then again, folks, remember the graphics weren't as advanced back then as they are now. So
Yeah, you were lucky to get anything at all. The idea that they would be making a video game, that was a huge compliment.
absolutely, because that's like extra. It's a big deal when you have a TV show that's made into a video game. At least back then, this is before streaming. So it's a way to relive the show all over again.
It really was. And I didn't know that this game even existed. So maybe I'll see if I can find if it's available, sometimes maybe on Steam it's available.
It may be on Steam.
Yeah.
Oh, I think about it.
We tried to buy it, it'd probably be like $600
Oh
or
God,
something.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those through the roof classic games or retro games. I think somebody made a video that said, "What the F?" Like retro game for like handheld, whatever was like.
Yeah.
It was like, what the F?
It's crazy. It's like, yeah, I spent $60 for something else. I still have to blow the dust out of it when I play it. It's just nuts. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Of course, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, of course, where he was.
And 57 episodes is a good long run on any show. Like, that's a lot of episodes.
This was absolutely huge
California.
for how long that it went.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think, as I said, Sarah Michelle Gellar has a lot of talent in playing these kinds of roles, because she started with nothing except for the movie, as we said before. But yeah,
Hmm.
that popularity rating, an 8.3 for
Yeah,
WB or UPN show, an 8.3, that's a high rating.
extremely high. This show had a cult following, I will say that, and a fandom of its own. I forget. I think back it was it. Yeah, back in the day when I used to go to Dragon Con.
In the
Um,
90s, I guess, and
hmm?
in the early knots. That's what
Yes,
they say, the early knots.
the early knots. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to Dragon Con
Mhm.
to basically. I went there to see the Babylon 5 actors, but they had like Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans there because oh my gosh, the actor who plays Spike was there,
Oh, wow.
and also the actress who played Buffy's sister
Yes.
was there. It was nuts. I was like, oh my god, where the heck did all these freaking people come from?
Yeah, yeah. It's legendary. Buffy the Vampire is legendary. They're still trying to recreate what
Hmm.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer created, and they can't really. There hasn't been anything that's been able to capture the imagination like this, Lorena. They broke the mold. Josh Whedon was very insightful in being able to adapt it to something that and create more of a world than what we got with the film, which was the film was more of a novelty to me. Seeing Christy
Hmm.
Swanson supposedly be a cheerleader and doing backflips and then striking people with a stake in their heart. Like it was very cutesy almost. She was almost like I don't even, and she didn't really feel very tough the way that Sarah Michelle Gellar portrays Buffy, in my opinion. But it didn't matter because this was the 80s, and that's what they wanted, for her to play the role, for Christy Swanson to play that role as this kind of sweet, innocent cheerleader who isn't
Hmm.
really thinking about anything like that. She just wants to go to the next homecoming game and go out with the quarterback. So, I think that, Buffy becomes this somewhat more mature person, and it has to really become a vampire slayer in the series. Like it's not just, well, you're a vampire slayer now. Okay, let's go back to homeroom. No, no, it's not. It's well, now we have to deal with different realms and different characters in more depth.
Hmm.
It really was such a fantastic show.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Stuff like when Giles is like, "Okay, you have to go kill this vampire," and she's like, "I can't go kill a vampire. I got a math test to
Yeah.
study for." It was just lines, lines like that, lines like finding out that her mom and Giles got it on the hood of their mom's car, and she
Well,
finds out episodes later about it.
Giles was incredibly charming, and he added a lot of the charms, with, of course, as we mentioned, he's British, a famous British actor, who
Yes.
decided to take that role. Is it Nicholas Brandon? I don't know if that's
No, that was shoot. I'm drawing a blank on
can you,
blank on
oh,
his
wait, we'll
name.
see it
That
here.
was Xander.
Yeah,
And
okay, that's it.
Anthony Head, who was in Bridgerton, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, he was spectacular in this, and I guess maybe he was in it pretty much the whole run of the show, as we can see here.
Yes, he was as
He
her
was
watcher.
amazing. He really, as far as I'm concerned, elevated the show, made it legitimate, with his instructions to her, and she needed help. She needed help. This was something that she was not prepared to accept. But I think if he hadn't been around, she wouldn't have been able to do this. And of course, her mom was sleeping with him. I mean, come on.
She said it was the candy. That episode, the band candy episode. I could go on for days about the show, but
Yeah,
let's
and
let's stuff like that.
And Buffy's mom was a beautiful woman. This is seeing something like that in a show where, he's like, well, your mom's kind of hot. I mean, he wouldn't say that, but I could see him saying, your mother is a very attractive woman. And any man would be lucky to even have a moment to speak with her, because that's how he was, the way that he would express this. But of course, to Buffy, this is disgusting and gross and
like,
ew. Yeah.
Ew, on my mom's car.
Ew. God, no, and that, really was kind of, and it's okay for her to feel that way. Look at the chemistry between the two of them in this photo, Lorena. Look at the chemistry. I mean, he's like literally stroking her hair, not really, but it feels like he's literally stroking her hair in this scene where he's got this, you could just feel the freaking sparks jumping off of the screen.
Yeah.
It was so intense, just incredible to see them together there. What chemistry and what fun it was to see that, this forbidden love. And of course, as I said before, then we started to see things like, I know he's a wolf, but I love him, like Twilight kind of, you can, it's like, I know he's a cold vampire, but I have to be with him. Like, then we started to see stuff like that. And they kind of made jokes about it where there's a family sitting in the living room and everybody has to watch the latest, movie where the daughter, I think it says as a parent, sometimes you have to watch stuff you don't want to watch. And so there's like the whole family sitting there. And of course the daughter is watching one of these shows. She's like, I don't care if you're a monster. I still love you. Like, I think it's fun. I thought it was fun. This fantasy, a lot of things that were done. Josh's talent clearly showed. And it was, I think Josh's fantasies, I mean, maybe not personal fantasies, but fantasies for the character that he wanted to see. And he's like, this has to have some depth. It has to make kind of sense. And, I think it was spot on. Sarah Michelle Gellar kind of like rocking her, she's like a bit of a casual look in the show that made her feel like it could be anybody, that, it could be any girl.
Absolutely. With the types of things that she would wear. It's stuff that any girl her age would wear. Hoodies, sweatshirts. My favorite, leather jacket.
Yeah.
She'd wear that. Her look was very casual. I forget one episode where she was running around. She had like this beanie cap on. And I was like, I gotta find that. I gotta find that, because that was a fashion thing with the types of things that she would wear, the types of accessories that she would wear. It was very what I would call laid back chic. And like when you see, Angel, he's got like the Abercrombie and Fitch look, I call it.
Yes. You can see him running his finger through his hair, the kind of that kind of model, definitely. And I think that that was just so spot on with how he portrayed this character, Lorena. You talk about his look. He definitely fit that Abercrombie and Fitch look and fantasy, at least for me. I think he did for a lot of women. Did they still have like those Teen Beat magazines, Lorena, at that time?
I think they still did. Yeah.
And People magazine and all that sort of stuff. And they were like, it was popular enough to make it on the covers of a lot of those magazines. So there was that too.
Yeah, I remember back when I used to read In Style. Yes. She was in it a lot. He was in it a lot. It was, of course, they're both extremely photogenic people. This is like when it truly went down. It's like, okay, he's truly a darn vampire.
Yeah. I mean, I think, part of the show too, am I incorrect in saying that part of that side he tried to hide from her, because no one wanted to see the final confrontation. Of course, that was an incredibly disappointing moment in the sense of realizing what that was going to mean. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's very interesting how they were able to make this work between the two of them. Boy, I really didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, it was, man, it's like you hate to see it, but you love to see it.
Yeah,
at the same time. So let's see. Of course. Let's see. The Crow. He was in The Crow.
Was that the movie?
Oh, let's see here. The Crow Wicked
I
Prayer.
didn't know he was
So
in this.
yeah, I don't know. It looks like I guess a one-off from The Crow
Mhm.
or something.
Played
Hmm.
by who played that?
See,
Let's
Edward Furlong, Tara Reid, and David Boreanaz. So this is
I'm gonna
very
have to rewatch it.
interesting. Look at this. Tara Reid,
Mhm.
who was also in the Sharknado movies. Just want to throw that out there.
Mhm.
Let's see. David Boreanaz is in it. Edward Furlong is
I
in
can
it.
see why they would pick him to be in that because it is such an outside concept, and he had been playing a role as someone. This is kind of this outside concept, but Brandon Lee's a hard act to follow, and ain't
Absolutely.
nobody on earth going to be able to fill those shoes except Brandon Lee. So that was kind of hard to star in something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
with all the publicity and everything coming out, even though how cool this guy looks on the cover, he looks
Hmm.
really cool. That looks really cool. Tara Reid's acting style is I like Tara Reid a lot, but if you have to set the tone in something, she's not necessarily ideal to have in the cast for that. In my opinion. But I do respect her as an actress, and she's been in a lot of films I've watched. So, but for this genre, I don't think that's the right casting for her personally. But yeah, I don't remember this film. I remember it came out, but
Remember
I
it all.
watched it. Did you watch it, Lorena?
I did not. I didn't even know it existed. I think after the first one with Brandon Lee, I mean, I couldn't bring myself to watch it, so I just kind of put The Crow off my radar.
Okay, I understand. And yeah, something, Lorena, even in 2005, it was hard to deal with the loss of Brandon Lee.
Hmm.
And the reality that he was gone and so early and in such a sad way was really shocking. And forever that movie, The Crow, the original one, will be infamous for what's happened in it. But
Hmm.
yeah, they set that tone in it, and I could see, yeah, let's get Boreanaz. He's accustomed to being in shows that have somewhat more of a dark theme, and he might be good for this. But Tara Reid, she's a star in things like this, is she?
Um, sh- from what I can't remember the last time, like I said, the last thing I saw Tara Reid in was
Mhm.
Sharknado, and it fit because it was just so ridiculous and over the top that
Mhm.
it just seemed to kind of fit her. For this one, I don't know why it's stamped as comedy. I didn't think The Crow was comedy, but if it's straight drama or horror drama, no, I don't really think of Tara Reid. Sharknado worked because it was so campy and it just totally fit in with her character. But this is on Pluto TV, so
Oh,
maybe
yeah, yeah,
maybe I'll give it a try for free.
yeah.
Give it
Maybe.
a try for free. Let's see. There's so much stuff that
Was it
he's
a series or was it a movie?
which one? The Crow, Rickard Player? Yeah,
Mhm.
that was a movie.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so apparently he played Satan, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
Dash, Death Satan. Yes, apparently he did that one. Let's see. Movie called These Girls.
I don't think I've ever seen this film, but you can see he's going to be like the sweetheart in the film. Is that him
Oh
there?
yeah.
This is definitely one to check out. During the
Wow.
summer between high school and college, three girls blackmail a slightly older hunk. Oh shit! Oh my
I was
god!
wondering when you would get to that part.
Oh my god! Oh
Apparently
my
you can
god!
rent it for $3.99.
Oh my goodness gracious! First of all, you should never have to blackmail any man into doing that. It should be the way that things are set up in, like in sexual attraction is that usually there's a number of men approaching you for that already. And there doesn't have to be any kind of, but gee, I've never heard of blackmailing anyone for sex. That's usually a
No,
crime, isn't it? That's like a crime or
usually. Makes me wonder what's the circumstances behind that.
Is he really being blackmailed, or is he just like happy to get it wet? This is, I'm a little curious. With three young girls, come on. I don't know
I
about
don't
this.
know. It just seems a little weird,
Yeah, they look a little too
for
eager. They're
lack
like,
of a
we
better
got to find
term.
somebody to have sex with, but who? He's got to be hot. Like what? What? How about the guy next door? He looks kind of hot.
It's like, yeah, he looks kind of hot.
That's how I would see this.
Maybe he's kind of hot. Oh, okay. Well, I guess
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. This is it's very funny. Of course, it's a movie, but yeah, best friends. It says best friends something every share
Best
everything.
friends share everything.
No, 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 no. They don't share
Mm,
everything. But my goodness gracious, yeah. Might have to check that one out, Lorena.
wow. These girls. Okay. Okay. These girls. Let's see. Oh, so he was in a video.
White Flag was a big hit for her, wasn't it?
Which one?
White Flag. The song.
Let's see. The song. I don't remember the song.
I hate that we
Um,
play music on here.
I did. Yeah, it just so pisses me off because I do. Dido is one of those like off. I don't want to call them off the beaten path. Maybe I should. Outside of my usual catalog of music, but her voice is so cool and her tracks are so smooth
Mhm.
that that I it's like I love it. I have like one of her CDs actually, and
We were all
it's a great
singing
album.
songs during this time too, right, Lorena?
Oh yeah, yeah. Between what I call angry white girl music, which was Alanis Morissette,
Yeah.
man, freaking love that.
Hmm.
I love her. I had Jagged Little Pill.
Oh yeah, we all did, and we were all singing the songs to it, and it was fun. Like Alanis Morissette songs, I think really did kind of play as if they were in a musical, the way that they were constructed. But this is that song where she says, "I won't go down on this ship. Um, I won't go down on
Really?
this ship, and I won't cross my." I can't sing the whole thing well. Down on this.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
he's in the video as the love interest, and he's smoking hot in it. And I guess the implication is that, she fell in love with him and, well, whatever it is, she's lucky enough to get him. So that's all I'm going to say there.
Mm,
So, I don't know whether he got hired for that because he was so popular already. But you remember there was a time where a lot of these stars, you remember, from these it's not really a teen show, but it feels like a teen show. These teen TV shows were in
mhm.
videos, like a lot of them. And this is when music videos were kind of still a big deal. I don't know how they
Yeah,
are now, Lorena.
yeah. That's like when they were, when they were big.
Yeah.
You would spot some of them in music videos, like for example, well, not to say that TV, because when I think about it, I think of like Jaimin Hanshu in Janet Jackson's
Oh
videos.
yeah.
You would see them. They're usually very attractive, and they kind of would drop in a video. It's like, hey, let's get this person. That was like a big deal. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Gary Dordan, who used to be on oh gosh, CSI. He used to be on CSI. You'd see him in videos. So yeah, not surprised, not surprised. Although that's probably the one album I don't own. I think I have the first CD. I
Yeah.
think I have the first one.
But this song, what is it called? White Flag.
White Flag. Mm-hmm.
That was a huge hit for her. And every time you turned on the radio, she would be singing,
Mm-hmm.
"I'm in love and I always will be. I'll go down with the ship, or I will go down with the ship," or whatever it was. It was a big hit for her, along with a bunch of other songs. And she was a big deal at that time. So to appear in like one of the number one selling musicians videos, that was also a big deal. It's like, oh, who's in that
Mm-hmm.
video? the actor, you know, it's like, okay, shoot. Yeah. Oh, the hot guy from Angel. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's in it.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy. So folks, you'll have to go back and check out that video.
Mhm.
Let's see. There's so many things that he's been in. I'm trying to go back to where we were. There we go. Okay. But the one I want to get to wrap up the show, the show with, of course.
Already?
Oh wow, he
Already?
was in American. I know, right?
No, there's two more I gotta talk about.
Oh, which one? Which one?
The two that we got to talk about, in addition to American Dad, is Bones
Yes.
and SEAL Team.
Yes.
We got to talk
So,
about. Okay, okay.
okay. So
Well,
let's.
did you want to talk about American Dad, or did you? Or did you have a preference?
I'll talk about it briefly. I'll talk
Okay.
about it briefly. American Dad. This was a show that I did not. I didn't watch a whole lot. I think the only time I paid attention was when Patrick Stewart would voice. He was. I guess he was the boss. So I think I would like catch it if he was on it, but. This one was a Seth MacFarlane show that I didn't really watch that much. The Seth MacFarlane show that I watched all the time was the Cleveland Show.
Yes.
That was my absolute favorite. Didn't miss an episode. American Dad, I think, came on after that. So it's kind of like, okay, really not too interested. But a lot of people did watch American Dad. It was very popular. So I think it's pretty cool that he actually got a voice in it.
Wow.
Let's see, which character did he play? Oh, I guess himself. He played himself.
These animated series, and they're not really, I guess they are cartoons, but these animated series were a big deal at the time. You know, Seth was pumping out animated series like crazy. We had Beavis and Butthead coming off of that introduction into adult animated series, and of course The Simpsons, but there was a bunch of others like that. I always talk about the one. It's not. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the one that I said if they were ever going to make it into live action would be the most inclusive animated show ever, where there's a girl named Foxy Brown in it, and there's
Drawn Together.
Yes, Drawn Together. For me was like, I said, that's the one they have to make into live action. And it has to be as crazy and I guess maybe out there as possible. And no one can say shit anymore about anything. It's so out there. You know what I mean? Especially the character that's like Zelda. I guess he kind of looks like Zelda. You know the one.
Yes, on an endless quest to save his girlfriend.
Yes. And, I just really think that the characters are really funny, but it was a snapshot of the culture at the time of what people were kind of doing and very cleverly done. So, Drawn Together, I think was very, very cute name for it because oftentimes people are just drawn together. It's like, you're not necessarily saying I'm going to be friends with that person. You end up with this person. You're like, yeah, we're friends. It's not sort of like, I'm going to be friends with that person. No.
Right.
The world isn't like that. So I just thought that it was natural that crew was drawn together, and it's more realistic in how friendships kind of formed and craziness, how craziness happens.
God, that show was so daggone crazy. Oh my gosh. I
know, right?
I every episode, it doesn't matter how bad of a day I had, I'll put on Drawn Together and I'm in absolute stitches. Stitches on the floor.
Yes.
Let's see. So yes, the two that we definitely have to talk about. And it's kind of interesting because with Bones, I knew about Bones. I watched a couple episodes here and there, loved the ones that I watched.
Yes.
And it was really cool. I think at this particular point in time, I think I was watching CSI the most, but Bones, when I could catch it, I did and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a great show. Of course, it starred Emily Deschanel, who's a sister to the other Deschanel,
Zoe.
Who's in New Girl and who was also in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So, the two sisters are well-known actresses. And Emily Deschanel plays this forensic anthropologist she's a bit quirky. Like seems like a scientist. She's not, she has kind of like a very unique personality. And David
Mm-hmm.
Boreanaz is kind of like this slick, hot, detective guy who's I'm not going to say that she's the brains and he's the brawn, but it's kind of accepted. However, they're both highly intelligent, and she herself, you remember, she has a black belt in some kind of like maybe Krav Maga or something. She also knows how to fight, but she's not going to be going out there slaying people or anything like that. She
Mm-hmm.
needs him and he needs her, and so it's a great balance between the two of them. Of course, you pause on the part where they're kissing one another, but certainly he really comes off as a knight in shining armor in this as well, Lorena. I think every time I see him in the show, I'm just like, what a great show. Like he really does have a lot of chemistry with her as well. I don't think there's any lady on the screen that he doesn't have it, but he really is very smooth, looks great. You see him wearing the suit because he's dressed, that's how he dresses for
Mm-hmm.
the role. I believe he plays a detective, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's an FBI special agent.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, they are a great team together. And of course, they have, disagree. They disagree and everything. But boy, it is fun to watch the two of them banter and debate. And it is scientific. She's like, well, I am the top, forensic anthropologist, but there aren't great facilities, and there's not a lot of certification. Like they talk about some very interesting things about it, but it's a fun show. Lorena, did you ever get a chance? You said you watched the show.
Yes, I watched a couple of episodes of the show when I got a chance, and thoroughly entertained. It kind of reminded me of a more realistic version of, say, oh my gosh, the X-Files. Kind of reminded me of that Scully and Mulder dynamic, and with a lot of humor on top of that. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think this was just one of those shows where CSI was my favorite, so I made sure I was there to see it. This one, it's like I wasn't there regularly to watch it, but every episode that I caught, I loved it. One, David Boreanaz is in it, because that's what made me stop and say, "Hey, I have to watch this darn show." And yeah, it's fun. It's definitely a fun watch. All 12 seasons are available on Freevee for free. I highly suggest checking out
And Lorena,
that
who gets
service.
12 seasons in a show anymore? Nobody. No.
Nobody. This show, I swear, it's like it went on forever. It went on for much longer than Angel. I think even longer than Buffy, but it also appealed to a larger audience, a more mature audience, and kind of again in that same vein as shows like NCIS, CSI, not really Law and Order, but but mostly CSI, especially when you're talking about forensics.
Absolutely, Lorraine. This is one of my favorite shows. And, I think that it's very cleverly written and entertaining. And I recommend it to anybody who hasn't watched it if you want. And it really just an intelligent and very sexy show. Watch Bones.
Mm-hmm.
And here it says Fox too. This is
Absolutely.
another Fox show, Lorena.
Yes. I mean, Fox, people didn't really pay too much attention to Fox when it first came on the scene, because who can dethrone the big three?
Yes.
But Fox started doing that. And this was about the time, I want to say like 2005, that area of time when Fox was literally a channel to be reckoned with, a network to be reckoned with. Because by this time you had like Fox, you had like Fox News, you had Fox Business, you had Fox Sports. I think FX had started about this time as well. So it was a huge media, empire. No longer was it like, oh, well, Fox is, the network of last resort. No. Nah. By this time, clearly on and popping.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. So this was just now at this point, he was on television for over 20 years, which is a milestone. The only other person I know it's probably not the only person, but the woman who played Tootie in The Facts of Life, she's had an incredibly long television career. In
Oh yeah, Kim
Kim Fields.
Fields.
And
Yes, Kim Fields.
another person who, when she's on the screen, she very similarly lights up the screen, is easy on the eyes. It's fun to watch her ever since, even when she was a little girl in these roller skates, right?
Mhm.
On The Facts of Life, she certainly had a lot of charisma there. So she was on The Facts of Life. Then she was in Living Single, and I can't remember what other shows, but she also had over 20 years plus on television. Very few people can get that, Lorena. But now Boreanaz, after doing Bones, had hit that goal as well.
Mhm. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough,
Oh,
let's talk about the next show
yes.
that he has been on. I wanted to allow plenty of time to talk about this next show, because this is one where I was aware of it, hadn't had the chance to watch, but a lot of people love it, and it is, of course, SEAL Team.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that?
Oh, Lorena, this has
I
been
got,
my
I gotta, I
favorite.
gotta do, I gotta do this. I
Yeah,
gotta do this.
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta do this
yeah, yeah. It feels good,
because
doesn't it? It feels so good to see David Boreanaz playing this mature special forces SEAL member on, and I think the show started on CBS. Gee, he premiered on a primetime show on primetime television amongst a lot of other contenders. The show was a hit. And honestly, Lorena, I have to tell you that the ensemble they put together of the SEAL team, he, along with some other very talented actors, make up this spectacular SEAL team that he is the team leader of. And he is just absolutely amazing in this, Lorena. My heart just cannot stop beating for this show.
wow. I tell you, I'm kind of annoyed that I didn't get a chance to watch to watch this show much earlier. Let's see, it's hard in 2017.
Yes. And
Wow.
it's it starts off where and of course by this time David Boreanaz is a mature man, and something, he just keeps getting better and better looking.
Does, doesn't he? Oh my gosh.
So I could see him as somebody, a SEAL team leader, and of course I love what they did with this series, where they focus on the team and he has to pick members. I can't remember his team, what team they're called, whether it's Alpha or whatever it is, and
Mhm.
that particular team has to pick new members when other members retire or leave. And so he is in the process of picking new recruits who want to be SEALs. And of course, they have to train them. And it takes a year or two to train these new guys. But there's a lot of mature men, just like what we've been seeing in the Terminal List, seeing in Jack Ryan. There's a lot of mature men who are leading these teams, and not only leading the teams, but also training the younger men to become, leaders themselves. So it's a huge commitment, and we see deep into the lives of these men, their families, but also the missions, Lorena. We get to go on these missions. We get to see the whole crew. We go on the C-130 or whatever it is with them. It's so much fun. We get to see this lady played by, I can't remember, I think his name, something Trunks. I can't remember her first name. Tony, I mean, it might be Tony Trunks. And she plays one of the, I think initially she's enlisted, but then she becomes an officer. And, you can see them creating the target package, if you will, Lorena.
Okay.
And, she creates a target package. They have a ton of intelligence. These guys are doing everything, and we get to see everything from soup to nuts in their life, how things are made. And it's like they hop on the C-130, 20 something hours later, they're where they're supposed to be, right? Because it's usually on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And, they have to work with in all sorts of situations. It is amazing. They're incredibly popular wherever these guys land. They're like, oh,
Mhm.
they're seals. It's like they're, everybody's like eyes light up, and it is just so much fun to kind of see this level of patriotism and the amount of respect that they show to these men who are risking their lives to
Wow.
protect us day in and day out in the
Mhm.
middle of the night. These guys are out there, putting everything on the line to ensure our safety as Americans. And it is incredibly amazing the way that they portray everything. It's so respectful. It is so well done. Lorena, I can't say enough about this show. I love this show so much. It is my favorite. Now, it used to be on CBS, and then I think it went to Paramount Plus or one of those.
Yes, it is on Paramount Plus
But
now.
it's still like they're making another season. One season just came out. I think they're up to 6 or 7. Lorena, this show is not stopping anytime soon. Keeping my fingers crossed. It is so good. And the fact that they were able to keep this show on the air for so long, a lot of it is because of David Boreanaz and this incredible cast that's on the show with him. AJ Buckley, who plays sort of like this Southern man who is an incredible SEAL himself, incredible abilities. But what I like about that character, he will go in there and say, well, I don't want to necessarily do that on this mission. Like that's him there. He's just like this Southern gentleman. That's how I would say the Southern gentleman SEAL, who we all, who's very much, well, thank you, ma'am, kind of thing. But he has this little attitude where he's like, and they're honest about, the stress of the job and how, it's like, okay, maybe some of them are, will do some things that maybe they, just do indulgence, they'll take indulgences, but it's realistic interpretation of, I think, men and their emotions and their experiences and expectations in all of this. Max Thiero, who's a Canadian actor who plays Clay, is sort of the rookie who wants to get onto SEAL Team, that SEAL Team 1, maybe it might be SEAL Team 1. And he's spectacular in it. Lorena, now I got to say this, and I'm going to get this out because I can't even hold it in anymore.
Okay.
The physical condition of these men is extraordinary.
I caught some of it looking at the trailer. I'm just like, dang.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to see what these actors are doing. It must be so much work of what's going on. And I have to say that they hit the nail on the head. They even have, I think it's Neil Brown Jr., who plays Ray Perry. The first time I saw him was in season 1 of The Walking Dead. And now he plays this man, I don't know his rank, but he plays another team leader on the team who is essential in making the missions work. He's spectacular in this as well. The whole thing is absolutely amazing, and I think that they did a great job. There he is with his wife,
wow.
and yeah, it's such a, we see relationships, we see men and women together in realistic relationships, the way that you would expect to see. Military families, and the struggles that they face while having to deal with, a family member being away for 2-3 months. This is a long time to be away from someone you care about. I think that they portrayed that as well. The men missing their families, and the families are missing them. So there is that. And it is amazing. It's an amazing show. I think it's so well done. Bravo to the entire production, cast and crew for SEAL Team. I can't say enough about it.
Oh my gosh, it just look. First of all, and we give props to Dita, the hair missile dog. How cool is it that the dog gets props? I mean, for a lot of operators that I know, having like canines like the German Shepherds, like bomb sniffing and all of that, they are absolutely indispensable. And some of them, when the mission is over and they come home, a lot of these dogs, sometimes they will go to live with, someone from that particular platoon or whatever. Usually the person who's been handling the dog the most, go and retire with them. I love German Shepherds. So I just had to stop and look because I love German Shepherd dogs.
And I think, and I could be wrong, and I think he's portraying a Malinois. I don't know if that's what kind of dog that is, but he's
Malinois,
right?
Malinois. I know what you're talking about. It's kind of like, it's like a German Shepherd, but not really. It's the same kind of type of type of breed of dog that is
Yeah. And
easy to train
yes,
in a way.
and you know I did not know the breed of this dog before this show, so I just have to put that out there, Lorena, okay? Because I've watched so many episodes and they keep saying Malinois. I'm like, what's a Malinois? And my brother's like, you don't know what a Malinois is? I'm like, no. And he's like, they're special dogs that are trained. I guess they're Belgian and they are trained for warfare. And
Yes.
so I learned that from the show. I am not a dog expert, and I wouldn't have known that if I had not seen it in the show. Although I've watched many shows like this where they have Malinois, and I did not know it was that kind of dog. They only answer to certain commands. They only answer to certain people. They're very specially trained dogs. There's one episode, Lorena, that I just love where the dog saves them, and I can't even tell you how well done this show is. And of course, look at the power of David Boreanaz. You can almost feel what he stands for with the flag on the front of his uniform there, standing strong and
all kitted out. I freaking love it. See, you know what? This is the reason why when I used to work for Stark, that the agreement was, should you see anything dressed like David Boreanaz is now enter the campus, it is your duty to DM us, tell us where said target is so that we may all go collectively admire who it is.
There's a seal in the lobby.
The whole thing is there's fatigues in the building. Yeah. Where I literally we went to, I kid you not, God, this is so funny. But yes, total female gaze thing going on. We got a report that there were several of them in the company cafeteria. Well, guess what? We all rolled right down there, got lunch, and we're just like, no, just thank you for your service. I just want to sit and just look at you. Just sit. Just you eat your meal. Can I take care of that for you? Like, okay. You want me to get your refill? What do you want? I'll go and get it for you. It's okay. No, just sit there and just look powerful, look gorgeous. Thank you so much for your service. I hope my tech helped save you or some other people. That we just want to sit there and we just want to look at you, because there's something about looking at a band who is powerful, whether it's quiet strength, whether it's egregious strength. It's something that you want to, something that you want to see, something that you want to like bathe in. We're just like, yeah, we're just kind of bathing in the testosterone right now, and we're going to be useless the rest of the day, but that's okay. That's okay. We are not ashamed to say that that is what is attractive to us.
It's incredibly attractive. And Lorena, they talk about the tech that you're talking about because it's heavily used and is needed in the success of their missions time and time again, Lorena. In the show, in fact, there's not a single show where tech isn't mentioned, and the importance of needing those things in order to have a safe mission, in order to reach success, in order to get things done. It is needed and is integral part. They wouldn't be able to do the missions without the tech you're talking about, Lorena. So there is that too. I mean, it really does take a broader look at what happens from soup to nuts. And of course, I know this is just scraping the surface because it's a show, but they do take certain things into account that, I hadn't even been thinking about, but are incredibly important in order for them to do their job. And we need them to do these missions, these difficult, challenging missions. The mental energy, Lorena, alone that they have to use in order to execute this, you can kind of feel the weight of that in the characters in this show. It's absolutely phenomenal. I can't recommend SEAL Team enough for men and women. It's, I think, one of the best shows on TV.
Oh, well, you know what? That's something that I'm definitely gonna have to binge, and kind of I hope this does not get claimed, but if it does, we may have to trim it. But Philly's David Boreanaz talks SEAL Team inspiration from Father TV legend Dave Roberts. Remember, I said he was the weatherman
Yes.
in Philly. So let's check this out.
Well, the new show, SEAL Team, starring Philly's own David Boreanaz, premiered tonight right here on CBS 3.
So we're going to come straight up the valley. We're going to buzz the compound. We're going to drop right down on them. And then what? Samir's going to squirt. Instead of landing on the X, Blackhawk's going to come out for the VI.
Boreanaz plays Jason Hayes, the leader of the Tier 1 team. He, along with the rest of the Navy SEALs, must navigate their professional and personal lives as they train, plan, and execute the most dangerous missions our country can ask of them. You can watch SEAL Team Wednesday at 9 p.m. right here on CBS 3. Now, before tonight's big premiere, our Victoria Woodall attended a special screening of the show with David Boreanaz.
And the story shows you David's family was also there, including his father, who was a very familiar face right here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it was the rival television station.
On the edge of the Hudson River in New York, the USS Intrepid, an Essex-class aircraft carrier built for the Navy in World War II, was once more filled with heroes.
Words are not enough to express our deep gratitude.
For inside the belly of this massive vessel, veterans were honored with a special private screening of CBS's brand new show, SEAL Team.
Nice.
A powerful military drama starring David Boreanaz, a famous Philadelphian who has a Philly famous dad to lean on for inspiration.
Anyone in the family serve in the military?
Yep. Armed Force Radio.
Legendary TV news weatherman Dave Roberts.
This is a special place, and we're so pleased to be here with the family.
And on the flight deck, where military planes were glazed with sun like trophies in a case, an emotional Boreanaz who plays SEAL Team leader Jason Hayes stands next to his father, talking to me about the truths the show aims to uncover about the difficulties for real-life SEAL Team members transitioning between a life of war and a life at home.
Do you know why you're here?
I was ordered to be here. The people I've met on the show who have graced me with
Is that the psych person? Yeah, I was
very humble.
Here.
If I can represent what goes on in their heads with this character, then I'm doing somewhat of my job.
But the most touching part of our interview was a surprise mission by David to honor his dad.
So I just have one small little token that I want to give my dad. It's from CBS Studios 2017. That's our official team, Squadron SEAL team. And I want to give this coin to you as a remembrance of you being my dad.
Oh, Dave.
Always being there for me, and I love you.
Thank you, Dave. I love you too.
Dave Roberts.
I've got my coin finally.
And with his mission
because that is a big
I
deal.
had one final question.
What does normal mean outside of being a SEAL team member and going home?
Well, I mean, I know for one Tier 1 leader, it was going to Taco Bell and getting tacos. The smell of fresh cut grass.
Everything that we take for granted. You could look up at maybe a New York or Philadelphia skyline.
Yeah.
You get up in the morning, watch the sun come up, go and have a cup of coffee. Just traffic to deal with. All good stuff.
But the small things are the big things.
That's right.
Definitely.
Come on,
I got it.
You got the coin on the ship, right? SEAL Team, official member now. Dev Crew leader, you got it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it is, Lorena. It's cool things like this. Certainly, I didn't even know this took place, but I just had to share it only because you had mentioned it, and I guess I'll stop sharing it. But yeah, it is amazing, Lorena, what we saw in that video, and yeah, it's a special moment for he and his father. And we're really lucky to get this show, SEAL Team. We're really lucky. And it's still running and it's still doing very well. It's like I said, it's no longer on the network TV. I don't even know how the network is running shows anymore.
A lot of them look to be pushing stuff to streaming. So folks, you can sign up for Paramount Plus and you can watch SEAL Team, which I will definitely be doing. This sucker is on my watch list for real. So thank you for bringing up SEAL Team and for bringing up our subject for our show this time around. So great stuff, great stuff. And again, the kid in me is so happy to see ABC6 weatherman Dave Roberts. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us for this installment of Toxic Male Appreciation. Would you like to tell the people where they can find you?
Yes, everybody. You can find me on my channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay in the fandom for my shows, Sunday Brunch, live watch parties with Reina. But you can also find me on the Burn Network, along with Reina as well, for our show, Ladies of the PGS, for PGS Moving Image watch parties, and so much more, as well as the 1/6 Scale Man Network for Uncivilized Scoundrels, and so much more. So please do check it out, and please do like and subscribe to Positive Fandom. And Lorena, thank you again for having me here tonight.
No, you are absolutely, absolutely welcome. Always love having you on the show. Folks, of course, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. And of course, you can find me on YouTube during various videos, live streams, watch parties, all kinds of stuff with myself, other guests, and a lot of them with her right here of Positive Fandom. So please do subscribe to Positive Fandom. Please do subscribe to me, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.